Tonight, federal investigators have exposed 234 judges nationwide in a massive cartel influence operation spanning.
At 6:47 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, the director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation stood before a packed briefing room in Washington, D.C., and delivered a statement that would shake the American judicial system to its foundation. 234 sitting judges across 7 states had been compromised by cartel influence, not bribed for a single case, not corrupted over time. Engineered from the day they took the bench, this was not a leak in the system. This was a system designed to leak. And what federal investigators discovered in the months leading to that morning would make the public question everything they thought they knew about the scales of justice in this country. Let me be very clear about what happened here. This was the largest judicial infiltration operation ever uncovered on U.S. soil. And if you think it stopped at courtrooms, you have no idea how deep it went. It started 3 months earlier, October 11th, 4:32 a.m., Phoenix, Arizona. The streets were silent under a blanket of desert cold. No traffic, no movement. Just the hum of distant generators and the faint glow of neon signs bleeding into the pre-dawn fog. Then the silence shattered. FBI Tactical Unit. They hit cartel-run GS, DEA strike teams, ICE enforcement divisions, and Homeland Security investigations agents moved as one coordinated machine across 18 locations simultaneously. Ambling dens hidden beneath legitimate storefronts, fortified drug stash houses with reinforced steel doors, underground tunnels stretching for miles toward the border, and luxury estates in gated communities where no one asked questions. Flashbangs lit up the darkness like lightning. Doors exploded inward. Agents in black tactical gear swept through rooms with rifles raised, voices shouting commands in English and Spanish. Suspects scrambled. Some tried to run with duffel bags stuffed with cash. Others reached for weapons they would never get to fire. Within 90 seconds, the first wave was over. 17 cartel operatives were face down on concrete floors. But it was what the agents found in the back rooms that changed everything.
They seized 412 kilograms of pure cocaine, 270 kilograms of methamphetamine, and 89 kilograms of black tar heroin. They also recovered 2.1 million fentanyl pills pressed to look like prescription medication, enough to kill half the population of Arizona 3 times over. Stacks of cash in vacuum-sealed bundles totaled $37 million. But that was just the surface. In a hidden office behind a false wall, agents found something that made even the most seasoned investigators freeze. 3 encrypted hard drives, 11 sealed steel lockboxes, and a single black ledger with names, dates, and case numbers written in precise handwriting. The names were not cartel members. They were judges. By 9:15 a.m., those hard drives were on a plane to the FBI's Cyber Action Team headquarters in Quantico, Virginia. Inside a secure forensics lab with no windows and walls lined with servers, analysts began the process of cracking military-grade encryption. It took them 41 hours. When the files finally opened, what appeared on the screens was not a list. It was a blueprint. A network diagram so vast and so organized that it looked like a corporate flowchart. At the center of it all was a code name, Operation Black Robe. Shell companies with names like Redstone Legal Consulting and Justice Partnership Solutions. Offshore accounts in the Cayman Islands, Panama, and Singapore moving $20 to $40 million a month in disguised wire transfers. Fake nonprofit foundations claiming to fund legal education programs, but actually funneling cartel money directly into campaign funds, judicial retirement accounts, and private trust funds for sitting judges. Restaurant chains, logistics firms, and construction contractors, all fronts designed to clean narcotics money and reinvest it into the people who could make charges disappear, sentences vanish, and evidence get thrown out on technicalities. And then they found him, Governor Miles Harrington of Arizona. His digital signature was embedded in authorization files tied to cartel logistics networks, encrypted communications with known Sinaloa cartel commanders, and financial transfers routed through his chief of staff's consulting firm. He did not just look the other way, he built the highway. He appointed 73 judges in his state alone over 6 years, many of them receiving direct or indirect payments from cartel-linked accounts within weeks of their confirmation. He turned Arizona into a judicial safe zone for the drug empire, a place where tons of narcotics could move through the state with almost zero risk of serious prosecution. This was not corruption. This was command-level collusion. This was not negligence. This was engineered treason. And what came next revealed just how far it had actually spread. At 5:11 a.m. the following Monday, inside a joint federal command center in El Paso, Texas, over 200 agents from the FBI, DEA, ICE, and DHS stood before a wall-sized digital map. Red markers pulsed across 7 states: Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, California, Nevada, Colorado, and Oklahoma. Each marker represented a compromised judge, a cartel logistics hub, a drug superlab, a human trafficking route, or a migrant smuggling corridor tied directly to Operation Black Robe. This was no longer a single-state problem. This was a continental infection. The mission was called Operation Clean Gavel. 1,147 federal agents, 63 SWAT teams, 18 Black Hawk helicopters, armored units from Homeland Security, air support from U.S. Customs and Border Protection. And for the border zones near Tijuana and Ciudad Juarez, the U.S. Navy deployed surveillance drones while the U.S. Army provided perimeter security to prevent cartel reinforcements from crossing during the raids. This was not a law enforcement operation. This was a siege. In Albuquerque, New Mexico, agents breached a cartel superlab hidden inside an abandoned aerospace manufacturing plant. They found industrial pill presses producing 50,000 fentanyl pills per hour, barrels of precursor chemicals shipped from China, and a ventilation system designed to hide the chemical signature from detection. 3 cartel chemists and 2 corrupt city inspectors who had signed off on fake safety reports were arrested on site. In El Paso, a drug fortress disguised as a luxury ranch in the hills was surrounded by air and ground units. The estate was equipped with surveillance cameras, motion sensors, and armed guards carrying military-grade rifles. It took a coordinated breach from 3 sides to penetrate the compound. Inside, agents seized 790 kilograms of cocaine, 550 kilograms of methamphetamine, and ledgers showing shipments of more than 12 tons of narcotics moved through West Texas in the last 18 months. The owner of the estate was a sitting district judge who had dismissed 63 drug trafficking cases in 2 years. In Southern California, near the border town of Calexico, a joint FBI-ICE team raided a tunnel system that ran 800 meters underground from a warehouse in Mexico to a mechanic's garage in the United States. The tunnel had electricity, ventilation, and rail tracks. It was used to move narcotics, cash, and human trafficking victims. 4 cartel members and 2 border patrol agents who had been feeding convoy schedules to the cartel were taken into custody. In Las Vegas, Nevada, agents stormed a migrant smuggling transit house where more than 40 people were being held in locked rooms, waiting to be transported deeper into the country for labor trafficking and exploitation. The operation was protected by a county judge who had reduced smuggling charges to misdemeanors in exchange for monthly payments of $35,000. Across Denver, Colorado, agents hit 4 separate locations tied to a logistics network that used green energy trucking companies as cover to move methamphetamine in shipments labeled as solar panel components. The operation had been running for 3 years. The federal judge overseeing the judicial district had personally intervened to delay warrants and suppress wiretap evidence in 6 major cases. In Oklahoma City, a network of cartel-run massage parlors and underground gambling operations was raided simultaneously. These were not just vice crimes. They were fronts for money laundering and human trafficking pipelines. A state appellate judge who had reduced sentences for known cartel enforcers was arrested at his home before dawn. By noon, the underworld had taken more damage in 6 hours than it had in the last 6 years. But what came next revealed just how rotten the system had become. Inside a secure federal evidence facility in Dallas, Texas, investigators began combing through the digital records seized from judicial offices, personal laptops, and encrypted phones. What they uncovered was a shadow enforcement system, a second layer of law operating in plain sight. Officers who received payments to delay arrests, border agents who called in sick on nights when cartel convoys were scheduled to cross, judges who scheduled hearings at specific times to allow witnesses to flee the country, court clerks who lost evidence files, prosecutors who offered plea deals that guaranteed no jail time. They found patrol schedules that had been falsified to create 30-minute windows where entire neighborhoods went unwatched. They uncovered emails between a sheriff's deputy and a cartel lieutenant discussing the location of a federal surveillance van. They also found bank transfers showing that 47 law enforcement officers across 5 states had been on cartel payrolls for years, with some earning more from the cartel than from their government salaries. One senior DEA agent who had worked drug cases for 19 years stood in that evidence room and said out loud what everyone was thinking. We were not fighting the cartel, we were working next to them, and some of us were working for them. By the end of the week, 61 law enforcement officers had been arrested, 12 sheriffs, 8 police captains, 33 patrol officers, 6 border agents, 2 assistant district attorneys, and Governor Miles Harrington himself was taken into custody at his private residence in Scottsdale at 6:22 a.m. on a Tuesday morning. He did not resist, he did not speak, he simply looked at the agents with the kind of calm that comes from a man who knew this day might eventually arrive. But the most chilling discovery was still ahead. When federal analysts cross-referenced shipping manifests, border crossing logs, and cartel communication intercepts, they realized the full scale of what had been built. Operation Black Robe was not just about protecting shipments. It was about redesigning the entire judicial and enforcement infrastructure of the American Southwest to function as a permanent safe corridor for cartel operations. The network could move an estimated 18 to 22 tons of narcotics per week across 7 states with less than a 2% interdiction rate. Way stations were shut down for maintenance exactly when cartel trucks passed through. Court dates were scheduled months apart to let witnesses vanish. Evidence lockers were quietly purged by clerks who knew which cases to touch. This was not infiltration. This was installation. The system was not broken by the cartel. The system was rebuilt for the cartel. And the plan, according to files recovered from Governor Harrington's encrypted cloud account, was to expand the model into 3 more states within 2 years. They were building a shadow government designed to shield cartel logistics for decades. Let me explain what that means in human terms. Fentanyl alone killed over 70,000 Americans last year. Cocaine, heroin, and methamphetamine destroyed families, gutted neighborhoods, and left entire communities hollow. And while mothers buried their children and fathers tried to pull their families out of addiction, 234 judges were signing papers that kept the pipeline wide open. Not because they were scared, because they were paid. Power does not always need violence. Sometimes it only needs silence, ambition, and the willingness to sell the system you swore to protect. This story is fictional, but the threat is not. Cartels do not just sell drugs. They buy influence, they corrupt institutions, they infiltrate the places where justice is supposed to happen. And if we stay silent, if we look away, if we assume someone else will fix it, then we hand them the keys to everything. If you are still watching this, tap the like button so more people see this story. Comment "expose" if you want corruption like this dragged into the light. Share this with someone who still believes the system cannot be bought. Because the moment we stop paying attention is the moment they win. This is a fictional dramatization, but the warning is real. Stay awake, stay loud, and never assume the system will protect itself.